Hi guys, in this recording, I wanted to smash the myth that property developers need money and need family members in property development. My name's Adam Panisi. I help other people learn about property development through my own experiences over the last 11 years, being involved in over $200 million of my own property development projects. And I wanted to smash the myth that I hear all the time from people that you need money to get started in property development, and if you don't have money, you need a family member, or you need somebody that's your dad, your uncle, a good friend. That comes back to family member. You need somebody close to you that is already a property developer that's going to teach you how to do it. Now, in part, the last one's true, and I'll impart some of the knowledge that was empowered into me when I first started. But first of all, you don't need money to get into property development. That is a myth. There's strategies and techniques where you can get started with no money or with very little money, and you can become successful, do a massive property development. You don't need the money. The second one is you need family in property development. I've seen a lot of second generation or third generation guys, or I've met them, I know them, second and third generation guys that are in property development. The funny part is where it originated from, somebody had to start it somewhere. So somebody in the family actually had to start doing property development. Just because it's in the second or third generation and they've built this massive property empire, it makes it a lot easier, but somebody had to start from the get-go. So no, you don't need family members in property development. What you do need though, unless you feel like working this thing out on yourself and by yourself and taking years and years, and I've seen people do this and screw it up, cost themselves plenty of money and eventually not even get there. But unless you want to do trial and error, the only way to fast track it is, or get there at all for a lot of instances, is to find somebody that's already doing it. So if you're not already in property development, or you want to jump to the next level, or maybe you've screwed up a property investment or a property development, there's ways to fix it. Just because you get burned once, that doesn't mean that you have to give up. If you get burned once, that means you've learned a lot of lessons and you're not going to do that again. So, and maybe you're a little bit smarter and you'll pay somebody money to educate, mentor you if you want to do it again. So I wanted to smash those myths. Let me talk about no money down and getting into property and property development with ultimately no money. So when you get a property, or when you want to buy a property for free, you need to use other people's money if it's not your own. The other people could be the bank. If the bank's going to lend you 100% of purchase price plus the stamp duty, then happy days. And they're not currently lending that, so you're going to have to come up with some money from somewhere. Pre-GFC, they were lending these sorts of money. If they're lending 95% and you've got a job and you can service the 95%, well, that's how you get into property with other people's money. The other 5% plus the stamp duty, if the stamp duty is covered by the government, if you're a first home buyer, then great. Then you've still got to come up with the 5%. So I'm using its simplest form in other people's money, getting creative. So 5%, what do most people do? Or what do most kids do if they don't have the money? They go to their parents and say, hey, mum and dad, can you give me 5% so I can buy this property? Or can you go as guarantor on my loan so the bank will lend me this money? I've seen a lot of people do that. I've never done that with my parents. But if you do want to do that, that's one way to get into property with using money, none of your own money. Let's just say you don't want to ask your parents for the 5%. I know from personal experience, never wanted to ask my parents for money, or any family member for money. So you got to get it from somewhere else. So where can you get the other 5% from? Just think about it creatively. So this is 95% loan, 5% deposit, Now, it doesn't have to be a 5% deposit. You might just be doing an 80% loan, 20% deposit plus stamp duty. You might go and get a credit card. Now, make sure you get the credit card or cash advance, whatever it is. Make sure you do this after your loan has been approved and it's not going to come up on your credit file. Back in the early days, before everything was instantaneous, and this was a little bit before my time, but it was still there a little bit when I first started in property development. I have some friends that did this. They went and got multiple credit cards, cash advances, and they used that as their deposit to buy more property. Now, it's not as easy anymore, but you can still do it. There is a way of doing it. You've just got to get the timing right. So that might be a personal loan, might cost you 17% or 15%, whatever it is. But if that property goes up by 10% and you've just made $50,000, say it's a $500,000 property, it goes up by 10%, or you manufactured 10% equity, you just made 50 grand, is it worth 15% of interest if you're going to make 50 grand on a property? Well, the short answer is yes. Just make sure that you repay that loan, refinance the property, repay that personal loan as quickly as you can to reduce your debt. So that's about getting into property with no money. Now, that's a very base level creative finance strategy. So let's say you are buying $1 million property, you want to buy an 80% LVR, you don't have the serviceability, and you don't have the cash to put in. So you're starting from zero. So you need to find $1 million of other people's money, plus you need to find the stamp duty on top of that. So I'll give you an example how you could put this together. One creative finance strategy is vendor finance. That's when the vendor finances the property. So what you could do is say, hey, Mr. Vendor, you want $1 million for your property. How about I give you 1.1 million, and in return, I'll give you, let me rephrase that. Vendor's property is worth $1 million. You go and offer him 1.1 million. So you're giving him an extra 100,000 more. And he's going to go, yippee, sure, what's the catch? You say to him, there is no catch. I just want to be able to pay you in 2 installments. So the first installment, I'll give you $800,000. Second installment, I'll give you the balance. I'll give you $300,000. So vendor says, okay, sounds great. I'm getting an extra $100,000, and I'm still getting $800,000 up front. Now, if this is a property development, and this is the example from my first property that I did, or first property development I did, I gave the vendor $800,000 up front, and I told him at the end of the project, once I developed it, which was 2 years later, I'd give him the balance, the $300,000. So this was an extra $100,000 more than what the property was worth and what he knew he could get for the property in that market. Now, if a property, if you see it on market, the current market is running hot, so you need to be a bit smarter about how you make these creative offers. You likely need to make them off market. In a hot market, it's hard to negotiate a creative deal with an on-market property. In a flat or dead market, very easy to do a deal with creative finance, like vendor finance. So that's one way you could come up with the deposit, is the vendor finance, the equity that you need. So you've still got to come up with the $800,000. So say you're buying a $1.1 million property, vendor chips in $300,000, you've still got $800,000 left. What happens if you don't have serviceability? You've got a couple of options. Either you can get somebody private to put the money in, so you can go to a second tier lender, you can do a low doc loan if you've, say, got a business, but you've still got to be able to support that serviceability. So if you're in the situation where you've got a business and the business doesn't have financials, you don't have up-to-date financials, whatever it is, low doc loans are gold. You'll just be paying 4 to 5%, so 4 to 5% interest. That is, you could go, if you don't qualify for that, then you need to start looking at commercial. So commercial loans. If you're doing a property development, There'll be commercial lenders that won't look at your serviceability, that would just look at the attributes of the property itself. So the attributes of the property is once it's developed, or what the property is going to be worth with the development approval. So if you are getting a development approval, what's it going to be worth after the fact? So it's still got to be a good deal. No one's going to give you money if you've got a crappy deal. So do your due diligence, present it in such a way you show people that, hey, this is a good deal, it's making 20%, say the 20% margin is going to make $500,000. You know, you'll have people that will give you money. You will find it. If you have a good deal, you will find the money. So that's second tier lenders, private lenders, whatever it is. The only condition to that is when it's on commercial, there's a timeline that they capitalize the interest for. So if it's a 2-year deal, you just want a little bit extra. There is one other option you could do. So I've gone through, that's assuming you have to settle the property and you're developing it. Now you can also do no money down deals and just flick the property on. So instead of buying the property straight up, paying for it, then doing the development and doing all that jazz, your other option is to do an option. So put an option contract on the property and then flick the option. You can flick the option with just getting a concept plan done. I've seen people do this before. I've seen people make hundreds of thousands of dollars doing this. Now, let me just very quickly explain what an option is. So an option gives you the right but not the obligation. Now that's a put option. There is something else that's called a put and call, but that's a bit different. I can cover that separately. But ultimately, think of an option like a lay-by. You put a deposit down, and with a lay-by, 8 or 10 weeks later, you go and pick up that property. You go and pick up that item, and you pay the balance, the rest of the money. And some lay-bys, you pay so much as an installment on the way through. So options are exactly the same. The person can't sell the property while you've got it under option. They can't on-sell to somebody else. They can't put the price up. You've locked in the price when you've done that option. So what that agreement entitles you to do, you need a nomination clause in there. So just keep that in mind. It's called a nomination clause to be able to nominate a new buyer. So option contract, you can add value to the property by getting an approval or getting concepts done, and then you can on-sell that option to somebody else. Now you're not on-selling the property because you don't own it, you're only controlling it. So you can on-sell that option. So in doing that, you don't need any money other than the option fee. And the option fee might only be minimal. It might only be a couple of $1,000s for a low-end property. In which case it's much easier to get a couple of $1,000s than have to settle a property and get a couple of $100,000. So it's going to cost you a couple of thousand for option fees, and then if you're getting schematics done, concept plans, or you're getting an approval, then you're obviously going to need the money to do that. So you need to find that money from somewhere else if you don't have it already. Or in the current market, I've seen people flick sites that they've optioned up just because the market's moved. So they actually haven't even done anything to them. They've just seen a good deal, they've optioned it up, stuck it on the open market, and then just on-sold that option. So if you can pick something up off market and it's below value, you can just flick it on. You may not even have to do anything to it. And if it's worth the risk of a couple of $1,000, if it's assuming it's non-refundable, if you did 6 of those, so you found 6 properties, you put a couple of $1,000s down, they were non-refundable, so which means you don't get the money back. So that's going to cost you $12,000. You think that you've bought well, or you think the market's going to keep going up. Say you just land one of those 6, as in you on-sell it, somebody buys it, and the other 5 are duds. Just one property, say the market goes up by 5% and you've got a 6-month option. Let's just do a low-end property, $500,000. 5% of 500,000 is 25,000. So if you did nothing else but just optioned up 6 properties, all of them were duds except one, you've still made $12,500. I mean, it's nothing to rave home about, but let's just say that you know what you're doing, the properties are in the right area. Say you've got 5 winners and you've got 1 dud. Now 5 winners, market grows by 5% in 6 months. That's not that much at all. So if market grows 5%, or you've just bought really well and you just flick them on straight away. Say you bought 5% under market value, you do that 6 times. Let's just say one of them's a dud, 5 of them are good. Well, you've just made $125,000 in 6 months. Now, this is very easy to do in the current market. Get some off-market properties, put them on market, or first of all, off-market properties, get them under option, then put them on market, flick them on. If you stuff up 1 or 2, doesn't matter. You might lose a couple of thousand on those ones, but the other ones will more than pay for themselves. So just something to think about, how you can make, $100,000 starting from zero, no money. You don't have to be really wealthy to start in property development or even start in property, just a single house. You don't need to have family in property development, or you don't necessarily have to have somebody that you're able to pick their brain, someone close to you. You can learn strategies and tips and from people that have been there, done that, and are willing to share their knowledge with you. My only tip around that is I see a lot of guys, I shouldn't say I see them, I have seen a lot of people come and go in the property development education space. It only takes me about 5 or 10 seconds to work out whether or not somebody's full of crap or not, and I see a lot of strategies that don't work. I've had them put onto me, I've had them presented to me, I've tried them, they don't work, or there's a fundamental that this person has missed out. And the reason they've missed it out is because they haven't actually done it themselves. So something to think about. And every strategy I've spoken about, I've had experience doing personally. Now, optioning up 6 properties and on-selling them, I haven't done that personally because I go through and I develop all of my properties. To date, I have developed every property that I've optioned up or purchased straight up. So I've taken them all the way through all the stages of development, all the way to the end where I've on-sold the end developed property. But there's been multiple times where I've got a property under market and I've looked to on-sell that. In one particular instance, actually I'll rattle off a couple of examples where I've bought under market value and I could have on-sold the property straight away. I bought a 10-house site. No one knew it was a 10-house site. Paid $1.1 million for it. Before I settled the property, I had it under a 4-month option. It was very quick. Before I settled it, I had a valuation at 1.4. So I'd made $300,000. I could have easily on-sold that property for 1.4, collected $300,000, and gone on my merry way. That's one example. Another example, 3 years ago, I bought a property for $2 million. Basically, before I even bought, or as soon as I put it under contract, got a valuation on it. Valuation came in at $4 million, and I could have on-sold that property for a couple of $1 million, less some stamp duty because that one wasn't under an option contract. So I would have had to settle, do a simultaneous settlement, and then on-settle. So simultaneous settlement means settlement at the same time. Another property that I bought under market value, 7-house project, paid $830,000 for it. This is back in 2015, I think, or 2016. Paid $830,000. The one 2 doors down had sold 6 years prior for $1.2 million. So I know that I could have on-sold this property for around about the same. around about 1.2 million on the open market. And again, I knew this before I'd even bought the property, so I could have unsold it. Instead, I developed it and made more money. But at that time, again, similar thing, optioned up the property, could have unsold the option, made $350,000, and then just walked away, somebody else do the project. So I hope you've gotten value. If you have, or if you've got any questions, leave me a comment. If you want me to do more videos like this, please let me know. If there's something specific that you're stuck with or want to know more about, just leave a comment or send me an email direct, and I'll endeavor to either do a video or respond to it. Thanks for listening. Have a great one.